So, why are you not successful at? Hi, I'm Chad Rushing. Let's talk about why we're not successful at whatever it is. Um, you know, a lot of times we just don't maybe even notice that we already are successful at something. Everyone has a sort of different idea of what success looks like. Um, on for some people it might be um, you've lost a certain amount of weight, or you've been able to pick up a certain amount of weight if you're into bodybuilding or weightlifting or that sort of thing, or maybe there's a particular song that you want to play on the drums or the guitar or the bass or whatever it is, or be able to hit those high notes, or maybe you have a monetary goal. So, what is your success? What does it look like? What is it? What is success for you? So, basically, let's talk about what do you want? What do you want? What's going to make you feel successful? What is going to be your success? Now, in this country and in our society, generally we think of success as being, getting rich. Basically, that's what the Western ideal of success is. But I don't think that's actually accurate. Success can be so many different things. Success can be learning how to weld. Success can be learning how to play the piano. Success can be, honestly, when you're dealing with depression, success can literally just be making it through a day. So, what is success? What do you want? What are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? Why do you want it? Why do you want that success? Obviously, in my last example, you want to make it through a day. But, why do you want to play that song? Why do you want that money? Why do you want that car, or that skill, or that weight loss, or that ability to pick up heavy weights or run fast? Or why do you want it? Why? Why do you want it? Why? The why is very important. So important. If you don't have an underlying fundamental understanding of why you want something, well, it's going to be a lot harder to get it, because you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that motivation to keep going when times get tough. It's going to be tough. Right now I am a few videos into this channel, and I keep having to remind myself, why do I want this? Well, why do I want to have a successful YouTube channel? Well, it's not that I care about the actual channel per se. It's that that I want to give people a toolbox full of tools that they can use, that you can use to just make it through a day and start feeling better about yourself. To be able to make those changes in the world that may be your cause of depression, or you know what I'm saying? Like, here's a hammer, here's a saw, here's some nails, and how do we build that toolbox? That's my why. I want to see you guys really just rock at life. I think if we all get better at being ourselves, I think society as a whole is just going to get better and better and better. We're all better. We all just live better, and we create better world for everyone around us. Hopefully that's succinct. So, what do you want? Why do you want it? And what will change when you get it? What's going to change? You know, for someone on a physical journey, you know, you might experience just overall better health. For someone, and I'll give you a little personal example. I was about 30 pounds overweight. I changed my diet around. I started working out. And my wife told me one of the things that I've been struggling with for quite some time is I have a problem breathing at night. She would wake up in terror sometimes because I've just stopped breathing. And that's no fun for anybody. Not for me, not for her. I apparently don't have that problem anymore. She says now she wakes up because I'm breathing too peacefully. Like, I can't win. So what will change when you get it? You know, when you get that income that you've always dreamt of, what's going to change? What about your life is going to change? Now, just because something changes doesn't mean it's necessarily good. It doesn't mean it's bad either. In the case of getting a higher income or getting, you know, winning the lottery or whatever, what's going to change? You know, are you going to have a better house? You know, is that your sort of goal? What is the ultimate goal of what you're trying to do? Are you going to feel more peaceful? Are you going to, you know, just be better prepared to face the day? Also think about what negative consequences that your change, your success might have, because there might be some negative consequences. You know, if you know, people might look at you differently, and not necessarily in a positive way. You know, you might realize that, you know, you want that high level executive job. Well, you might shoot your stress level through the roof. You might. So you also have to think about those negative consequences, because sometimes what happens is deep inside our brain, our subconscious has thought these things through. It's really thought it all through. And somewhere inside you, you already know what the negative consequences might be. So that's kind of what might be holding you back, is that awareness. And once you address those things and sort of put a plan into place to deal with it, you know, if I win the lottery, you know, if you're worried about, you know, people hitting you up for money all the time, well, how are you going to deal with that? You know, if you lose a bunch of weight, and I know for a lot of people, a lot of times weight gain can be because of past trauma, and that's a way to feel safe. That's an unintended consequence. And it might be that you have really kept this weight or this particular physique or a particular mannerism to help sort of, it's, you know, like a porcupine, those quills, to try to keep that thing away from you. So what are the negative consequences? That is very important to also consider. So let's move on. We've figured out what our success is. We figured out why we want it. We figured out what's going to change, and we figured out if there might not be, but we figured out if there are negative consequences too, and we're going to work to mitigate those. So now, importantly, we've got to figure out, what does this success feel like? Because it's really difficult to achieve a very poorly defined goal. Okay, I've been a active musician for most of my life. For 20 years now, I've actually been playing out. I'm taking a break for that. Thank you, coronavirus. It's up there somewhere, I guess. I don't know why I looked up there. But I've actively worked on that, but I've always had a sort of fuzzy goal, fuzzy definition of what success might look like. Obviously almost every musician wants that sort of rock star status, but I got to thinking about my own. What are the negative consequences? Believe it or not, I'm actually a very private person. So you hit that rock star status, and guess what? No more privacy. There's people taking pictures of you on the beach when you happen to, pooch your belly out, or I don't know. I see this stuff in like tabloids all the time. They take a picture of some of the most beautiful people on earth, but they manage to find that one moment where they look terrible. And, oh, look at so and so. So I realized that was my negative consequence, that lack of privacy, that sort of, just too much attention. And I realized maybe that's not what I really want. I do want to make a living, and so far I have. But, what level of success do you want? How far do you want that success to go? And what does it really look like with the negative consequences? Okay, so we covered that again, apparently. So what does success feel like? What will it look like? What does your day-to-day life look like? And we're going to build a meditation on that. We're going to use that 8-minute meditation platform. I think it's really powerful to really be able to pop that in to just throughout the day. You don't have to do it only one time a day. I do mine every morning, but you could do it more than once. You could do it, on your car drive. Don't close your eyes on the way to work while you're doing it. But you don't have to meditate with your eyes shut. That is an absolute myth. Meditation is more of a state of mind. It's a practice. It's not a posture or closing your eyes or whatever. Let's see. What emotions might you experience? So while you're experiencing this success, what emotionally does it feel like? Do you feel joy? Or do you feel peacefulness? Do you feel generous? How do you feel? What stresses might be gone? Now this goes into that feeling space. So we're going to dig into that sort of feeling space. What stresses might be gone? Have you ever, and I'm going to kind of focus, maybe in a way on the sort of monetary aspect of things. They say money can't buy happiness, but if you've been poor, money can fix a lot of problems that you have when you are poor. Is your fridge janky or your car breaking down all the time? Well, if you had enough money, you could just buy a new fridge, buy a new car. You could or hire someone to fix it instead of trying to limp things along. So what stresses might be gone? You might feel this stress drop away that you've been holding, because we do tend to do that. We hold these stresses and we aren't always aware of it. So in the meditation, in this picturing what your success looks like, it's really, really important to imagine what stresses are going to be gone. How does it feel to just not have this thing hanging over you that this success is going to alleviate? What experiences what stress might you gain? Maybe, again, we'll go back to that whole rock star thing that I was talking about. I think it'd be really sick. I think it would be really stressful to go to a restaurant Right now during coronavirus, it's stressful to go to a restaurant, which is why I'm not doing it. Um, it might be really stressful to go to a restaurant and then just have people constantly come up to you asking for autographs or to take a selfie or whatever. That might be really stressful. Uh, Especially for me, getting interrupted while I eat is, oh my god, I no, don't do it. Uh, so that might be a stress you might gain from your success, and it's important to think about those things. What experiences might you have? Maybe with maybe with getting a better physique that you've always wanted. Maybe, that person that you've always been in love with might notice you, or whatever it is that what experiences might you have? Maybe, maybe you've always wanted to ride a limo, and that might be an experience that you have. Or maybe you just want to experience enlightenment. That might be an experience. Or maybe you want to experience what it's like to take a month off and have absolutely no cares, go do whatever you want and have no stress whatsoever. Maybe that's an experience you might have. So what steps can you take? So obviously in this culture, if we're talking about a sort of money style of success, you might take an extra job and sort of maybe your success might be just paying off your debt, living debt free. Um, so maybe you get an extra job. Maybe you start a business. Maybe you've had this business idea, and then picture what that success might look like. Maybe you have maybe you make something, maybe you're really good at making candles or jam or whatever it might be. Um, Maybe you have a bunch of something. You have a collection that's really just kind of taking dust, but might be valuable. Maybe you can sell that. Um, Maybe you have a special talent. In the case of, success with music, maybe you have a really, really strong musical skill. And maybe you could join a band or write music for people. Or maybe you do soundtracks for, your local film studio if you have one. So what talent could you use? Maybe you're hella good at cleaning. People need clean houses, or businesses. Uh, and that goes into the next one. Maybe there's a service that you're really good at performing. Maybe you're wicked good at taking care of yards. That's something you could do. Or maybe you're really talented at trying to just come up with stuff with services. Maybe maybe you're really good at mechanics, and you start a shade tree style mechanic shop. Um, so what other steps could you take? Maybe it's meditation. Maybe just giving yourself that little space every day to sort of envision or even get away from or go to something mentally. Maybe that would help. Um, Maybe if your success is having a better physique, work out. Maybe that's what you got to do. That's a step you have to take. Eat healthier. And I don't preach veganism or anything, but my wife and I went vegan a few months ago. And honestly, like, I just feel better. I've started working out because I just feel like I have more energy. So just overall, I feel like, the working out and eating healthier has been a success. I've experienced a success with this because I've taken the steps. Um, Maybe in the case of someone who wants to be more successful at playing an instrument or whatever it is, martial arts, practice more. Maybe you want to be better at meditation. Again, they call it a meditation practice for a reason. Um, In my case, I'm trying to get better at being on camera, so maybe looking around so much is something I'm working on practicing. Uh, so, how do you experience your success mentally? Well, there's a few different ways you can do that. You could visualize. Meditation can be helpful for that. And like I said, I am scripting out a 8-minute success meditation. We're gonna have that up hopefully really soon. Um, but just sort of experience the meditation mentally. The neat thing about your brain is that on certain levels, your brain cannot really tell the difference between something you imagine and something you're actually experiencing, which is remarkable. And I'll prove it. I'd like you to think about an orange. All right? You picture it. Now imagine it's cut in half and you can smell it. Imagine taking a bite of that orange and really, really, really imagine what it tastes like. Now my mouth's watering. Your mouth will be watering. It's wild. Your brain was like, well, there's an orange because you pictured it. So that's one really powerful way of helping yourself toward that success. Experience that success mentally as deeply as you can and go back to those earlier steps. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What emotions might you have? What might be an experience? You can just envision that experience with all those emotions, with the backstory intact, whatever, however you want to do it. A dream board / vision board, they're kind of the same thing. Get yourself, a pen board or something, or make a collage, go through magazines and cut out what your success might look like so that you have something you can look at every day. You can, maybe in the case of a musician, you might listen to someone who plays like you want to play. So having that sort of visual reminder is also helpful. So the dream board, vision board, cut out pictures or draw them if you're so inclined. Just write it if you have to. And then affirmations. Affirmations are basically happy things you tell yourself, in a way. You sort of repeat those. And I'll give you a story about affirmations. So it's crazy to me that I'm Southern and I live in Michigan. I was born and raised in Louisiana, and now here I am in Michigan in the frozen north, where it apparently will never warm up this year. We're in the middle of June, actually dead middle of June, and it's still not very warm. It just isn't. Hopefully my garden will take off. And we can do some gardening posts. Maybe that's a thing you want to be successful at. Have a successful garden. Maybe that. We can do some garden stuff later too if you want. Just let me know in the comments below. But those affirmations. Anyways, how did I get to Michigan? Well, one of my absolute best friends, he's my brother to me. I was in a rough spot. I lived in Virginia. I'm ex-military, so I bounced around all over the place. But I was in Virginia, and things weren't going super well. I didn't have a lot of income, and I came across this idea of affirmations. The idea that you can basically talk yourself successful in a way. And so at the time I thought $100 a day sounded marvelous. I mean, that would be game changer money, right? That's how little income I had. I was working part-time at this, it was amazing. It was called the Chinese Connection They had Chinese fashion, but then they were also a martial arts studio for Baguazhang Kung Fu, which was fascinating. But I didn't earn a lot of money there. Anyways, so I basically told myself every day, repeatedly, I made $100 a day. Easily, I make $100 a day easily and consistently. That was my affirmation. So I said this to myself over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And all of a sudden, one day, the phone rang. This was back when you had to have a phone to have internet. DSL. Some places might still have that. I don't know. We have cable here. But it was my brother, and he's calling me on a number that I didn't give out to anybody. It was literally there just to have for internet. And he's telling me, hey, you got to come to Michigan. I got you a job. And I asked him, well, how much? And he goes, $100 a day. What? What? It turned out it was painting, which is fun for me. I love painting houses. I think it's amazing. To really just go walk into a place and completely change it with just a color. But it turned out it was $12.50 an hour, 8 hours a day. That's $100 a day. He didn't say $12.50 an hour. He said $100 a day, and it was just like that. Instantly, I knew I had to go to Michigan, and I'm so glad I did. I met my wife here. She's just my goddess, and then my friend Jamie always tells me that I won the wife lottery, and yes, I feel like I did. So affirmations can be powerful, very powerful, because what you're doing is you're training your brain. You're training your brain to just sort of accept something. There's an old caveat that if you tell a lie often enough, it becomes the truth. And so you're basically kind of lying to yourself. Now, you also have to be reasonable with it too. I make $1 million a day. Well, some people, if you're already making $500,000 a day, $1 million a day is a believable thing. If you're making, $27 a day, scale it back, work your way there. You know what I mean? And most importantly, allow yourself to take steps. Take those steps. You want to visualize. You want to experience it mentally. You want to, don't want to scroll. You want to go through all of the steps that you could take and actually let yourself take them. Fear is powerful, but you can overcome that. So here's why you're not successful and why you can be. Hit that subscribe button if this helped, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to build, like I said, I'm going to build a short meditation, and I hope you find it helpful. Have a great day.